And on the other hand, there's this argument that if Greg is the African psycho, then yes, being a psycho differs dramatically between Africa and America, or at least between Mabanckou and Bret Easton Ellis. Because Greg is, I think, a quote from one of the better reviews was, a bundle of neuroses. He's constantly talking to himself. He has verbal cues. He yells, "Ah, shit," whenever he's worried or scared, sometimes multiple times. He's a violent idiot, but without really the competence and ability to be a violent idiot. And so in that sense, you can say, well, the difference is that, apparently Africans just suck at being psychos. There's no real planning or thinking ahead, and there's no understanding really of the consequences or willingness to go the extra mile. Greg is so hyperfixated on the style and the reputation of the actual psychopathy and psychotic acts he wants to commit that he doesn't really ever get to committing them very well. He tries, granted. He almost succeeds at one point, but he fucks it up immediately afterward. So in that sense, we can say, well, Bateman is a more competent psycho. But I think then it's not so much the idea, and the very easy way out would be say, black people just suck at being psychos. Now, personally, I think, everyone has the capacity to be a real fucked up bastard. The difference, I think, is that Bateman, well, one, it's circumstances. You see, Bateman, he's a rich guy, but if you also look familiar, you read a bit more of the B extended universe. Bateman, he's had it easy his whole life. Which means, he isn't worried about, oh, gee, when's my next meal coming in? Well, apart from booking one at the Dorsia. His job means nothing. He doesn't work hard. He has everything basically handed to him on a fucking silver platter. Of course, he has the time to, perfect murdering people correctly. And even then, he still messes it up a few times. And we compare this to Greg, who actually makes a far more concerted attempt to be a nice, reasonable guy throughout the book, actually shows some real, human compassion here and there, which he attempts to dismiss as, I'm just going to kill them later, and then he never does, or he fucks it up, or he agonizes over whether he'll be even able to. He's grown so attached to them. And, he works hard. He's a self-made man. He's an entrepreneur. He built his house with his bare hands and the aid of a few builders, he says. So in that sense, I think it's also a discussion on, circumstances. What makes and enables a psycho? And the crime committed by people in poverty is going to look very different to crimes committed by people in wealth. Even when you see they still have the same sort of end goal of shitting on society. And I think that is one of the stronger arguments Mabanckou makes, is this parallel between American Psycho and African Psycho, which is, fucking unavoidable given you called your book African Psycho. And that was definitely something that I found very interesting, is looking at how is it different being a psycho then? Because we see Angualima, he has magic. He has complete anonymity. And he has complete disdain and disregard for literally everything else. He shits on society. He hacks people's heads off if they talk about it. He hacks people's heads off if they impersonate him. Major plot point of the book. So, in that sense, even I would refute the idea that, it's because he's African that Greg is a shitty psycho. It's not. It's because he's poor that he's a shitty psycho, and because fundamentally he's not actually psychopathic, he's just a loser. I may have gone too far in a few places.